A ton of comic collectors and investors are about to lose a lot of money this week. Are you one of them?
This week's list is full of last-ditch efforts to spec on Deadpool and Wolverine, which comes out this week, and number 10 is no exception. Make sure to hit the like button, be subscribed to this channel so you can be up to date on all the hot comic sales, and hit the bell for notifications. Number 10 is the first time it's made the Hot 10. It's the first appearance of Daken in Wolverine Origins issue 10.
The son of Wolverine, last-ditch effort to spec on if the mantle will be passed in Deadpool Wolverine. And over the last couple weeks, we're hearing rumors that Hugh Jackman is set to reprise his role as Wolverine multiple times in the next few years. It looks like he's not stopping, making this comic book a risky investment.
Well, it was revealed that Daken is the Hellverine, if you guys are keeping up with that comic book series. I also just did a box break for the Wolverine Fleer Ultra trading cards by Upper Deck, and they had a few Daken cards in there as well. So there could be a couple of reasons that people are speculating on this book. It is up 111% as far as increase in copies sold this week over last, and we've got some strong performing sales. Starting with the CGC 9.2, it sold for $125, which is its year-high sale, and it puts it 102% over its 12-month average. You got the 1 out of 100 variant in a CGC 9.2. That also had a year-high sale coming in at $420 for a 43% increase.
Nearly all of these purchases were year-high sales this past week. Can't be a coincidence. The 9.4 Direct sold for $115 at its height, and that's 62% over its 12-month average, and 3 different copies outsold that average this past week. Then we look at that 1 in 100 again, graded at a 9.4. You could have bought this book for $350, $368 on average all year. There was a sale for $575 this past week, an increase of 56%.
The CGC 9.6 is up 87%, 3 copies outperforming the average. The 1 out of 100 variant of that is up 55%. We got the regular variant for the CGC 9.8 coming in at $150 for a 12% increase. And then the direct market standard cover 9.8 coming in at $328 for an 18% increase.
Now, I know there's some pre-screenings of this movie. I can't help but think either members are speccing last minute or some collectors, investors, industry insiders know something that we don't.
A couple of books on the list this week make me think that's what's going on. Moving on to number 9, we've got more Joker love. Last week, we had the Neil Adams classic with Batman 251. This week, Joker 1 makes the list.
From 1975. Can you believe it, Jem? It took him over 30 years to put Joker in his own solo series.
What's even crazier than that is that this book is now 51 years old.
First solo Joker series. This book is undervalued, and the prices are showing that members are agreeing with me because it's barely moving up. Just a lot of sales for what, at best, a Joker movie that is kind of loosely based on the Joker, but barely, and more of a drama than a superhero villain anything.
It seems like collectors don't need that much of a reason to hunt down for Joker keys. We got the CGC 7.0 year-high sale up 62%. The 8.5 has a year-high sale, and that's up 22%. The 9.0 is up 3%. The 9.2 is up 34%. And the 9.6 sold for $437, right about its 12-month average.
You heard that right. Between 7.0 and 9.0, there was about a $10 difference, and the 9.0 sold for less than what the 7.0 just went for. Some members are looking at the price going, I don't care, get me Joker number 1. The book is too cheap.
Well, we just found out that the Arkham Asylum HBO Max series directed by Matthew Reeves has been canceled, so it does seem like the Joker movie sequel is the driving force behind the speculation. We actually did get a quote from the casting director, Francine Maisler, about Lady Gaga's performance as Harley Quinn.
She was raving about her performance, to say the least, and the main thing is that she keeps up with Joaquin Phoenix all throughout the movie. And I also will say, you can follow me on eBay, Geek Street 101. I put my higher-end comics over on eBay. I have fielded more offers for my Batman Adventures 12 copies that I have, more in this last week than I have in the last 3 months combined.
Yeah, if you ever caught American Horror Story with Lady Gaga, she did a good job in the show as well. So I can see her doing a good job as Harley Quinn in this upcoming movie. Like we mentioned, collectors are going after Joker keys. If you would like to know all of the Joker keys and have easy access to it on your phone, you got to check out Key Collector Comics.
Utilize code Tom101 on Key Collector Comics. You support the show, but give yourself access to a free 2-week subscription of the best comic app, hands down. And I recommend you use the character search, because upon entry, there's nothing better than to figure out what key books are associated with characters that you enjoy. This is how I learned about all my Hellboy keys that I had to hunt for. And you can learn about Joker keys by pulling up the Joker search, typing in Joker, and it'll lay out all significant moments for you to hunt for.
And you know this next book had to make the list. Number 8, we have Hulk #1, but not the first appearance of Bruce Banner. We've got the first appearance of Red Hulk.
The first appearance of the Red Hulk on cover only. That's a conversation for another day. But this trailer looks excellent. I was a little concerned. You know, this has been a rocky road up until this point. But seeing the Red Hulk at the end of that trailer has me hyped. It has the community hyped. And Jem, I've been waiting to ask you, what did you think?
I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. I had zero interest in this movie based on all the test screenings. I didn't love the show, but the trailer, it had Winter Soldier vibes. And I've been saying they gotta push the Red Hulk narrative to really make this film interesting. And think about it, we're getting an angry Hulk once again.
The book is now up, and this is the first time, I think, in a while that we've reported on a comic that people were specking on, waiting for the trailer to hit, and then it started going in the direction most people wanted. Up with a 9.6, hit 195. That's up 49% when you compare it to a recent 12-month average, and 5 copies outsold that average. The Hero Initiative 9.6 had its year-high sale selling for $200. That's 21% up. The Newsstand 9.6 sold for $670. That's 35% up.
And there are a ton of cool variants for this book. I used to collect these all back in the day. We've got the Wizard World variant and a 9.8 selling for $240. That's a 43% increase, and you guessed it, a year-high sale. The Heroes Initiative variant and a 9.8 is up 12%. The Dynamic Forces, shout out Nikki B, and a 9.8 is up 3%. And then we've got the standard direct market 9.8. It sold for $375 at its height this week, which is a 49% increase, and 15 copies outperformed the average this week alone.
What do you think did it, Jem? I mean, clearly seeing Red Hulk at the end of that trailer was a good call, snatching that Captain America shield out of the air and thrusting it into the ground. But I can't help but point out that Harrison Ford looks like such a badass in this movie.
Dude, I was going to say the same thing. Harrison Ford as General Thunderbolt Ross is really what did it for me. And then we got to see Red Hulk at the end, and that promo poster with Red Hulk's hand holding the shield. So good.
We already told you about a potential spec fail with number 10 on the list. People buying Dakin keys so close to the movie, because if he's not in this movie, those year-high sales are going to be regrettable purchases. Well, as it pertains to Captain America Brave New World, we've seen more X-Force 1 sell in the last week than we have in recent years. Giancarlo Esposito has gone on the mic and said that no one has guessed who he's going to portray in this movie.
Yeah, rumor had it that he was going to play George Washington Bridge, who first appeared in X-Force #1. Now, it's a good thing that that's not an expensive book, and it's a cool book to own anyway, but it looks like that may be another failed spec.
Woo! Which brings us to number 7 on the list with Deadpool, Merc with the Mouth, number 7, first appearance of Lady Deadpool. Now, as it pertains to this book, this one is one of the few that looks very promising, especially because as of the recording of this video, just about what, Jem, 2 hours before we hit the mic, we saw the latest Deadpool trailer showing pretty much from neck down Lady Deadpool.
Yeah, and that's the second time they've teased her in that way. Like, they're purposely not showing us who's playing Lady Deadpool. Is it going to be Taylor Swift? Is it going to be Blake Lively? Is it going to be Ryan Reynolds?
Yeah, could you imagine if they just like transpose Ryan Reynolds' face with CGI and it's no one that people have been specking on, essentially killing the spec? Well, the numbers show that people are buying this book regardless, and variants of the same book. The 9.6 direct sold for $220. That is 36% over its recent 12-month average, and 3 different copies outsold that average. The third printing 9.6 sold for $350, up 34%, and that's a record high sale.
The direct market CGC 9.8 sold for $400, 24% above average, and 4 copies outperformed the average this week. Then we got the second printing 9.8, that's up 30%, and some record-breaking sales. The CGC 8.5 last sold for just $49 in August of last year. It just sold for $97, which is a 98% increase. And then the second printing 9.0, selling for $95 in 2022, now going for $150 for a 58% increase.
The spec play is going to be about the longevity of these characters. We see Dogpool in this trailer. We see even like a cowboy Deadpool. We know Kidpool's likely going to be in this movie, Headpool, and of course, Lady Deadpool. But the factor that needs to be applied to Lady Deadpool is who is going to portray her. And if it's Taylor Swift, this book is going to go nuclear, which is why people are risking it right now.
I don't think it's Taylor Swift. She seems to have more of a leaner build. It could be Blake Lively, but I still think that the Ryan Reynolds play would be the funniest.
Which brings us to number 6 on the list. And because of Wolverine Deadpool, you know I had to hook up every single member with a dope Wolverine book, 1 per box in the August mystery mail call. Going out an homage to Wolverine 1 from 1988, first appearance of Wolverine as Patch. We have a Kale new homage. This is 1 per box, and I'm not going to tell you the second variant going in 1 per box, but I will tell you it is a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive.
Putting the mystery back into mystery box, hit ComicTom101.com and sign up for the mystery mail call. Support the show and what we do as we move on to number 6. And it's the first time that this one has made the list as well. Punisher number 1 from the first solo miniseries.
1986, Mike Zeck greatness. And this is really where the Punisher starts to be molded into the anti-hero that we all know and love. Like, keep in mind, Punisher was being tricked by the Jackal to go after Spider-Man. He was a low-level anti-hero at best up until this solo series.
The first appearance of Punisher has made the list a few times because of the fact that Jon Bernthal is reprising his role in Daredevil Born Again, and we're hearing rumors that a trailer was screened behind closed doors, and then all of a sudden a bunch of Punisher 1 starts selling. It's almost like what we were talking about earlier. Somebody has got to know something. We got a CGC 8.0 up 3%. The 8.5 is up 10%. The 9.2 saw its year-high sale at $129. Shout out to ASM 129 for a 17% increase. The 9.4 is up 2%. And then we've got some newsstands. The newsstand 9.6 had its year-high sale at $380 for a 56% increase. And then the newsstand 9.8, the creme de la creme, going for $15.80 for a 36% increase.
Daredevil Born Again is supposed to come out March of 2025. So we have a little room between now and then to spec on Daredevil keys. I imagine we're going to be seeing more of them as we approach that date. Also, I want to mention one of my favorite YouTubers who covers comic book history, Comic Tropes, recently, like in the last couple days, did an entire video going over the history and life of Mike Zeck, the artist of this comic book, and it is excellent. I'll put the link to that video in the description below.
Coming in at number 5, we have Transformers issue number 1 from 1984, the first appearance of the Transformers in comic books, and I just saw the Transformers 1 trailer.
It looks so good, doesn't it, Jem? I was actually laughing while watching this. This may be the first time that I'm actually excited to watch a Transformers movie.
I've never seen Megatron like this, but it makes sense. This dude wasn't born evil. Something had to happen to make him the villain that we know, and we're getting that origin story in this movie.
Chris Helmsworth as Optimus Prime, Scarlett Johansson. The animation looks superb, and I think people are hyped about it, while Skybound is just taken over with Void Rivals and G.I. Joe and Cobra Commander and Scarlet and Transformers, of course. And you add to that Transformers 1 is going for too cheap. Let's get into the numbers. The 9.2 is up 16%. You can get a 9.2 Transformers 1 for $199. What's up with that? The 9.4 is going for $215, 5% over. The 9.6 is going for $340, 5% over. The newsstand 9.6 you can get for $600. That's 23% over its recent 12-month average. And the 9.8 just sold for $1,526, 15% over its recent 12-month average. The most recent 9.8 sale was $1,200. Seeing that someone paid just over $1,500, I don't feel bad. I think this book is a minimum $1,500 book. And if you can get it for anything less than that, I think you got a steal of a deal. And if you're buying Transformers 1 for $1,500, I still think you did well.
Yeah, this is a 40-year-old book, the first appearance of a beloved franchise in comic books, and we just got a record-breaking sale on a third printing 9.4. It sold for $216 back in 2021, and it's now going for $229 for a 6% increase. Not only do we have the Transformers 1 movie coming out, the Energon universe like you mentioned, but keep in mind, we have the live-action movies that are connecting with G.I. Joe as well. 3 great reasons to back this book.
Probably why this is the 8th time that we've talked about Transformers 1 on the Hot 10 this year. Hit the subscribe button. I expect it's going to be making the list in the future. At the list at number 4, Iron Fist number 14, the first appearance of Sabertooth. So close to Wolverine Deadpool. And a lot of the books that we've talked about already on this list and on other lists, I'm worried about. they are selling for too much, so close to the movie with a census count that's exploding, but I'm not worried about this Bronze Age key. What do you think, Jem?
Yeah, the first appearance of Sabertooth is always going to be sought after. It's Wolverine's greatest and most well-known villain. I do think that a lot of the hype came from the Deadpool and Wolverine cameo, but we still have X-Men 97 to look forward to. And again, always going to be a popular key. A CGC 4.5 had its year-high sale at $228. That's a 15% increase. The 6.5 is going for average. The 8.0 is up 7%. The 8.5 is up 41% and has a year-high sale with $630. The 9.2 is up 13%, and the 9.6 sold for $1,260, an increase of 4%, but that's not all.
That's right. We have the price variant, 35 center. This book is scarce as hell, and we've never seen one publicly sold, and it just set the record for a 4.0, selling for $800. The 9.8 of this book has been going for around $3,700 all year long, and the last 9.8 clocked in a sale this past June for $3,360. This book is going for as cheap as it's gone for in the last 12 months, so close to the movie that I think members are realizing now that this book can only go up.
We already know we're going to see Tyler Mane's version of Sabertooth, the one from the early 2000s X-Men movie. We've seen the beginning of the fight in the most recent trailer. The real question is, are we going to see Liev Schreiber's portrayal from the X-Men Origins movie?
It is a multiverse movie, so who knows? But I also think it's worth mentioning that most people watching this video who are specking on buying this comic book already know what's going to happen to Tyler Mane's version of Sabertooth, and they don't care. That means that confidence is high on a key book for a reason beyond the movie.
Speaking of confidence, number 3 on the list is Silver Surfer 1. Once again, the first appearance of Shatilov, the first solo series for Silver Surfer, and it looks like we may have been right on our speculation with Norrin Red.
That's right. New rumors this week has started circulating about Julia Garner's portrayal of Shatilov, who's supposed to be a herald of Galactus, stating that she is actually going to only be in one movie, leading many to believe that she is setting up for a transition to Norrin Rad's Silver Surfer as the Herald, which is what we thought was going to happen since the beginning, while everyone was freaking out and losing their pants.
This book is from 1968. There have been 11 more copies added to the census since we talked about this just 2 weeks ago when it hit number 1 on the Hot 10. The CGC 2.0 had a year-high sale for $300. That's 18% above its 12-month average. The 3.5 is up 3%. The 5.0 also has a year-high sale coming in at $623. That's a 25% increase. The 6.0 is up 9%. The 7.5 is up 2%. And the 8.0 clocked in a sale at $1,750, 9% above average.
This book is doing quite well, especially when you look at the recent sales of high-grade issues. Let's get into it. The 9.0 has an average sale of $39.56. The last sale was $3,700 in April of this year. The 9.2 average 12-month sale was $5,200. The last GPA sale, April of this year, was $5,520. The 9.4 12-month average was $91.62. The last sale, June of this year, was $9,328.
This book is super scarce in a 9.6 and above, only 43 copies in a 9.6, and we haven't seen a sale since June of 2023, and there's only 10 9.8s. The last GPA sale is $33,000 from way back in September of 2016.
I expect one of those 10 9.8s to hit the market in the next year or two. And when it does, it's likely going to break 6 figures and adjust the floor of this comic book.
Yeah, got to keep an eye out on the trickle-down effect when that happens as we move on to number 2 on the list. With a brief lapse, it's back, the first appearance of Deadpool in New Mutants 98.
And now I'm back to being pessimistic because we have New Mutants 98. I'm going to spoil it. The 9.8s, we have talked about sales hitting $1,500, $1,600, and $1,700 plus. And the last GPA sale, July of this year, was $1,100. We don't even have a 9.8 to report on the Hot 10 because it takes a book selling for over the recent 12-month average. And we have a lot of sales to report on, Jem, but only 9.6 and below. What does that tell you?
Yeah, the book is hot. There are a lot of sales, many performing over the 12-month average, but not that 9.8. And what we typically see is when the movie comes and goes, the books tend to cool off and go for cheaper. Although in recent years, we've seen them last a little bit longer. Is this book going to still be hot months after Deadpool and Wolverine? We'll have to wait and see. Now we'll take a look at the 9.0, selling for $425, an increase of 22%. 3 copies outperform the 12-month average. The 9.2 can't keep up, selling for $25 less, but still up 8%. The 9.4 is up 14% with 3 copies outperforming. The 9.6 is up 5%, also having 3 copies outperform the 12-month average. And we have a newsstand 9.6 selling for $10.95. It's a year-high sale, and it's 56% above average.
We talked about this book just a short 7 days ago, and since then, 21 new Slavs have been registered on the census, 4 of which were 9.6, and 7 of which were 9.8. Hit the like, slap the subscribe button. Do you agree with me that this book could be sub 1,000 in just a short week or two? Let me know in the comment section below why Gem Mint hits you with the #1 hottest book in the world.
It was number 2 last week, and it's back at its #1 spot. It's Wolverine issue #1, the first solo miniseries, the iconic Frank Miller masterpiece. For reasons that we've already discussed, let's look at the numbers. You got a CGC 8.5 clocking in a year-high sale at $170. That's 50% above average. The 9.0 is up 5%. The 9.2 is up 33%. And 3 copies outperformed this week.
The 9.6 is up 6%, just like the 9.8. The highest that it sold for was $690 for an increase of 6%. The newsstand 9.8 is up 20%, selling for $1485. These are really strong numbers, despite the crazy increase to census count that we've reported on week over week for over 5 months, Gem. But I can't help but think that the recent 10.0 sale that we just reported on, selling for $27,000 just a week ago, has provided a level of confidence to the higher graded copies despite the massive increase in census count.
So we reported on a $690 sale for the CGC 9.8. The last GPA sale is $645, which is $5 under its 12-month average, and the movie comes out next week.
So what does that say about this collectible? All year long, while the census count has been exploding, this book at a 9.8, a short 7 days before the premiere of Deadpool Wolverine, is now trending officially less than the 12-month average. Do you think this book is going to climb, or do you think it's going to start to settle? Are there going to be a wave of Deadpool Wolverine adjacent keys that people have been specking on? Dakin, Lady Deadpool, Wolverine, Deadpool himself. Are they going to hit the market in the next week? And is it going to cause a flood of inventory and supply to then downturn the market on all these collectibles? Are you worried about the books that you have bought in? Let us know in the comment section below. And as always,
geek responsibly and stay minty fresh.
Enough said.